This episode is brought to you by Leo Bato and Associates, ang realtor na patok.
When buying or selling your home, call Leo Bato. He has years of experience in real estate, showing honesty and integrity in every transaction. He's a person you can definitely trust. So book your appointment with Leo Bato today by giving him a call at 818-648-4837 or by visiting him on the web at www.leobato.realtor.
And the podcast will begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, it's happening. Miss Melody Butiu.
Hey, happy to be here.
Wasn't this supposed to be months and months ago?
Yeah.
Pandemic time?
During the pandemic. I think maybe even before vaccine.
Yes.
Yeah. It was like, I think they
Yeah, we had that
having
nice,
like the shield and everything. I was like, all right, okay, I guess I'm okay with that. But then like everything just fell apart.
Did you get COVID?
I did not. I was very, very
good for you.
Lucky. In 2020, early 2020, my boyfriend, my partner, was working at a hotel at the time, and so we think he actually did get it because he had the symptoms, but it was so early on. It was like late February, early March. So it was like he was really, really sick, but he couldn't get a test. Like you could only get a test if you were in the emergency room and you couldn't breathe. Yeah. So all the symptoms were there. He did lose his sense of smell and taste. I did get sick from him. So maybe I had it, but we weren't getting tested. I just isolated.
After that, you never got it.
After that, I was really, really lucky because after we got vaccinated, he did get it again. Oh my goodness! In July, just this last July, he got it, and I thankfully didn't get it. I was tested multiple times during the isolation because we live together, so we're in a small place. But I was thankfully knocking on all the things.
Oh my God!
I thankfully didn't get it. Yeah.
That's great, no?
Yeah.
Great and scary at the same time.
Yeah. You just have to be hyper aware and just try to take care of everybody.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I just got back from doing a show in Houston, and their protocols were really, really strict. We were tested 3 times a week. Everyone was like fully vaccinated and boosted. Even the kids in the cast, and we were just really trying to take it day by day to make sure we made it to the end of the run.
How many days a week did you do your show?
It was an 8-show week, so we performed 6 days a week. I did South Pacific, Rogers and Hammerstein, at Theater Under the Stars in Houston. And I had family there. I had family who lived in Sugarland. And then I had some family in Midtown, so closer in Houston. So they were able to come see it. They haven't seen me in a show in Houston ever. That was my first big show in Houston. And so it was really great. But I was like, I can't really spend that much time with you guys. Yes. Because I just had to really be careful.
Because exposure to other people, and then if someone gets sick within the company, then
yeah. I mean, I could, and it would end the run.
Yeah.
Like if there were a number of people who got sick, because Omicron happened, like,
oh my God, that was fast.
And it was,
over the holidays.
Spread,
yeah.
And there were so many shows that were shutting down. And I was doing a show. I was doing a Christmas Carol at South Coast Rep in Costa Mesa, and we had to close in our final week because of exposure. And it wasn't even that anyone in the cast had tested positive, but enough people were exposed that they had to pull out, and we didn't have enough coverage. So it was unfortunate, but it was happening all over the country, so many theaters.
How long have you been in theater?
Oh gosh, a couple of decades, since late 90s. so a good 20 plus years.
Late night. Oh, you started very, very young.
Yeah.
See? Like that.
I know, right? I was 5.
You like that?
Yeah, I did Annie. That's what happened. That was my first professional. No, it wasn't.
But what was your first play?
When I was in high school, my very, very first musical was Little Shop of Horrors. And I did that with California Youth Theater when I was like 16, something like that. And then I started getting into theater actually in school because that was an outside program. And then I started doing some musicals in school and stuff like that.
Did you seek it or did it find you?
You know, growing up, so my family is very musical. They both my parents loved to sing, so I loved singing growing up. Very Filipino. It's very typical, right?
He had a magic mic.
Of course. I think my dad had like the Manny Pacquiao magic mic, like years later, but he did have it. But yeah, we had the even before the magic mic, we had the multiplex.
Left and right. -1.
Yeah, my dad would go to the Philippines and then come back with all these cassette tapes.
That was in a nice case, right?
Yeah, Whitney Houston, Janet Jackson. Oh my gosh.
With a nice booklet.
Yes, with the booklet with the lyrics. Oh my goodness. I love it so much. So yeah, I grew up singing. My sister sang. We would harmonize all the time. And but when I was when you're in elementary school and you're trying out for the school play or the school musical, like they would have reading, like they would have speaking parts and singing parts. And anytime I auditioned for a speaking part, I would stumble over my words. I would stutter. I'd hiccup, and the teachers would be like, you can just sing, just because I was like good with singing, but I was terrible with words. And so I always just grew up thinking like, oh, I'm a singer, but I can't read anything. I can't actually be an actor. And then when I was in high school, I took a drama class, and then I started doing both. I started acting, and I loved it. I love telling stories. I love, exploring characters and playing different parts and then singing as well. So I would kind of go back and forth.
And your parents were okay with the extracurricular activities?
They were. I mean, they were very supportive. My mom, even though she was very musical, my lolo was a big band leader in the Philippines.
What? Really? Wow.
Yeah, and he played clarinet, he played violin. So she grew up with a very musical father, and she was very musical. She was the glee club leader. She was the conductress. She loved to sing. She played guitar. But then she became a nurse. So for her, it was like that was a hobby, right? And then she became a nurse as her career. And then my aunts and uncles, they would say, "Oh, that's a good hobby, but but you should be a nurse."
Are you a nurse?
Oh, I play a nurse on TV. That's what I do now.
Yeah,
I play nurses. I play doctors. But yeah. So, it was something where they were just like, oh, she'll grow up. Maybe she'll grow out of it, or But my dad was. He was like, you have a gift. You should do something with it,
Oh, Dad was there to say that.
Yeah, he was.
He's not around. Is he still around?
Oh, he is in the Philippines, actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then my mom passed away
I
was in high school when I was 17. So, but I mean, she...
Quite young.
Yeah, she got sick when I was in the 4th grade at first. So she had a brain tumor. She had cancer. And then, but she was with us for a number of years after that. So, like she would come to my performances at school, and she'd, be in the corner, and she'd like, oh, you have to smile more. Like, even though she was like in her wheelchair, and I was just so happy she was like there visiting from the nursing home or whatever, she would be like, you have to smile, you have to dance. She was
How's
still
it
like
feel
trying
knowing?
to be.
How's it feel knowing you are a teenager, just about ready to become a woman, and mom was diagnosed with cancer? How did that impact you?
Oh my gosh!
Like you have, the feeling that we as kids, we have dreams, right? And we want our parents to witness us fulfill our dreams.
I still do.
Right?
I still think of her. I do. She had a birthday recently.
January, February?
February 15.
Oh.
Yeah, she would have been 77.
Ooh.
And I still think, I wish, I hope I could make her proud, of what I've been able to do with my life. And I got to my cousins who were living in Texas. So they came to see the show, and we did get to have an outdoor lunch, and
Cousin's mother's side.
cousins on my mother's side, and so my mom was their aunt.
Yeah.
And she was their favorite aunt. So we would sit at lunch and they would just tell me stories about my mom and say, oh my gosh, she was our favorite. She was always so happy, so positive. And my Ate Doris, she's like, I became a nurse because your mom was a nurse. When I went to nursing school, they're like, why do you want to be a nurse? She's like, because my favorite person in the world is a nurse. And like all these stories like make me tear up because they know her in a way that I didn't get to know her, right? And yeah, I miss her all the time. And I think of, when I was a kid, you don't really clock what's going on. You don't really, you're spending a lot of time in the hospital and your mom is in and out of the hospital. You know that she's sick, but you don't really know, like you can't really grasp how it's affecting the whole family.
Yeah.
And
your dad had to deal with it differently in front of you and when you guys are not around.
Yeah. Yeah. And, even practical things like medical bills and how that affects the household, how that affects how we're able to take care of each other, and we were very, very lucky. My grandparents were able to come and help take care of my mom. My aunt came, so it was like always like it takes a village kind of thing.
Yeah.
They were there to help support us. And my dad, he had lost his job around the same time. So then he was like trying to find work and trying to send money back to the family. And there was a lot of separation. So it was tough.
You knew it was terminal? Did you know that it was terminal at the time?
We knew that it was serious, but we didn't know. Because she was still hanging on. She was still alive and with us. So it was like from when I was in the 4th grade to when I was a senior in high school, that she was alive. So, we didn't feel the finality of it, but we did feel like how hard it was going to be. And yeah, I remember, I used to have really, really long hair, like all the way down to my butt.
Ooh.
And my mom used to comb it. She used to braid it, And I remember when she was in the hospital, my aunt came, her older sister came, and I was having a hard time taking care of my hair because my mom wasn't there.
Yeah.
And she's like, you can't have this anymore. You have to cut it off. And she took me to the garage and she cut off all my hair. And I was devastated.
Of course.
Because she just chopped it like to here. And
the memories that came with the hair.
I know. And so I remember seeing my mom, she came, she was able to get out of the hospital for Christmas and she was with us for Christmas. And as soon as she saw my hair, she started crying.
Oh.
And I'm like, I'm so sorry. And she's like, you're still beautiful. It's okay.
Amen. Are you the youngest? Or
I'm the middle.
So your sister, your brother,
I have an older brother
and then your sister. Were you the dark middle child, the black sheep of the family? Was that you?
I was the mediator middle child. I was the one who's trying to be the go-between.
So you're friends with both siblings?
I wouldn't say that. Not growing up necessarily. Not growing up. Kids are kids, siblings are siblings. But obviously I love them both now very, very much. But yeah, I feel like I'm always I try to be the one to smooth things over. Maybe that is just more in my adulthood than than as a kid.
Going back, the reason why I wanted to go back to that time in your life when you had your mom and when you lost your mom is because it's so pandemic related. Imagine how many people actually lost one or both members of the family, right? And it's so heartening and disheartening to hear you laugh and smile and actually just Is it true that you're never over the pain of losing a parent?
I mean, I think grief is something that is always going to be with you. And you just find ways to hang on to the memories that you do have. I remember when we were really lucky in that we were by her side
When she passed?
When she passed. Because
Oh,
she was
nice.
living in Washington.
Washington State.
Washington State, close to my uncle, so Eastern Washington,
Okay.
and then we had since moved to Los Angeles. They had divorced, and my dad had remarried, so we were living in Los Angeles, and
So from East Coast to West Coast?
and then from Washington State to California, but my mom stayed in Washington. And so my dad had remarried, and so we were living in Chatsworth,
Yeah.
in the valley, and then we were supposed to visit her for Thanksgiving, and we got a call from my aunt and said, you have to come now. So this was October, and so we kind of dropped everything and just flew up because her cancer had come back. So
She was in remission.
She was in remission. She was kind of out in a plateau,
Yeah.
sort of, because for a while she was really making some strides. She was walking with a cane, but then I think a couple years in she had a stroke and then kind of decline, and then she was kind of in this kind of plateau state. So she was still invalid,
Yes.
but the cancer was gone.
Oh, yeah.
And then it came back in the form of lymphoma. Maybe in this was probably when I was a junior in high school.
Did it affect you growing up?
Oh God.
I mean, when I say affect you, like, were you more excited to move on with life, or were you always, she's not going to be here maybe next year or next year. This is a bummer. Of course, saying that is just like downplaying it. But what was it like? Because again, debut, you know what I mean? All these
Didn't have
important,
that. Any of
right?
that. Yeah.
All
No.
these important stuff. Like looking back in hindsight, none of those.
Yeah, I remember thinking, oh, I wish my mom were here to show me how to wear makeup. To put on makeup for the first time, because I think I look back at it, I think, oh my goodness, I look like a sad clown when I tried to attempt to put on eyeshadow for the first time. That
So you
kind
were
of thing.
you were living with dad or
Yeah, living with my dad
and stepmom.
and stepmom. Yeah, and then my brother and sister. Yeah.
The reason why I'm asking is because, again, if we can touch just one heart in the audience with everything you're saying, so they can feel that they're not alone. I mean, this
Oh
is
my gosh, absolutely. I mean, I think when it comes to grief, it's been decades already since my mom passed, and I still long for her. I
Right?
still miss her. I remember when she was passing. One of the things that I was afraid of most was like, what's going to happen if I forget what she smells like, or if I forget what she feels like, what it feels like to hold her. Those were the things that I was like afraid to lose, the almost intangible things. And I still miss her, or if things happen in my life, or good things, or people that I meet, because she's never met my partner, I wish she had a chance to meet him, that kind of thing. So it's always going to be a part of my life. And it also makes me who I am. It gives me empathy. It gives me the ability to see other people and
understand.
support
Yeah,
them
yeah.
and understand them,
because you know
when
how
they're
they
going
feel,
through it.
right?
Yeah. And like when you were talking about the pandemic, people losing loved ones, and then also, and this time losing them and not being able to be by their side, not,
Right?
having to say goodbye to them over FaceTime, you know.
Like this is it, right? And like this.
Yeah, you just, I mean, I can't imagine that kind of pain and that kind of helplessness, you know. And my heart goes out to them, which is why I did feel like it's so important to take that so seriously when we were especially in the thick of it. You know, we have ways of managing it, or you know, now, which is incredible, but you know.
This episode is brought to you by Leo Bato and Associates, ang realtor na patok.
When my friends were like talking about ambulances going by at night and seeing the trucks outside on the street being filled with I mean, I can't.
Like especially New York, right? Those trucks with freezers.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, who would have even imagined that our world would have gone through this?
I mean, did you think that in your lifetime you would ever experience something like this?
It's like the worst science fiction movie ever. Yeah, I mean,
when we were in the thick of it, you and your partner, do you have kids?
we don't.
Did you ever think of buying a dog, having kids, or learning a new recipe? Because that's what people did during the pandemic. You either had a kid, you learned something new to cook, or buy a dog. The buy a dog part, that's what I did.
That's right. You have 3 now.
I know. I never wanted a dog, but
Really?
yeah. But now there's 3.
Wow. What convinced you?
Not my sister, my daughter and my wife, we were during the pandemic. They were both like, okay, someone is giving us a dog to be adopted. And I was like, as long as you guys are going to take care of it, then let's do it. And then I was talking to Michael and he said, are you really going to do it? I go, they want it. And he was like, you better make sure. So when we got the dog, he was cute.
Yeah.
4 days after getting the dog, my wife, who happens to be a nurse, got exposed to a coworker. And now she had to quarantine herself at the hotel. So I was stuck with my daughter in the house. She's not going to take care of a puppy.
Yes.
So I ended up taking care of it. Oh, I fell in love with the dog right away.
Yeah.
I mean, right away meant like a month.
That's okay. It's all right that it
The
takes
first
time.
day of cleaning poop, I was like, you're getting adopted, buddy.
I know. There's some people who give up, right? You know, that's the thing. Is like they have buyer's remorse, and it's like it's a life. You know, it's not like you bought a DVD that you don't want any more DVDs. Who even has DVDs anymore?
So isn't it nice? Like you mentioned a while ago off camera that your boyfriend, your partner, he's also a musician. So how does the household feel like? Because you're in the arts, he's in the arts. What's the conversation like in the morning? Is there competition?
No, not in that way. He's actually really, really supportive. He helps me with my self-tapes.
Your lines.
Yeah, he helps me with my lines. He's so good. Like I'll submit a self-tape to my manager. She's like, Alan's really good. I'm like, I know he is. He helps me book things. No, he's great. And then he, you know, the thing is, because we're by the beach, we're in Manhattan Beach, it's our sacrifice, it's a very small place. So, you know.
Location.
It absolutely is. So he has his drums set up. He has electric drums,
Okay.
but then he also gigs out with his
Acoustic.
Yeah, absolutely. He does both. But yeah, so he'll practice on his drums, and then, you know, I'm singing at the top of my lungs or practicing lines or whatever. But yeah, he's pretty mellow too. So, you know, there isn't a lot of competition in that regard. Also because we're both artists, but we're in different fields.
Right.
So
Who's deeper?
Deeper.
Who is?
How do you mean?
Like who's more into their craft? You or Alan?
Oh gosh. I mean, I think we both are in different ways because he's practicing all the time. all the time, every day. He's practicing, But then like he'll watch me like work on my lines, and I'll just be reading a script, and he laughs at how like my face just contorts while I'm reading. He's like, I'm watching you like picture everything in your head.
Do you do that?
I do. I'm
Like,
very
of course.
expressive.
No, but when you're reading a script, because it's descriptive, right? It'll say interior or exterior. It'll tell you what's happening.
Yeah.
There's a description and then lines, right?
Oh yeah.
So are you directing it, or are you visualizing everything in your head while you're
I
reading it?
visualize it. I hear the lines in my head, and so like you'll just see my face contort when I'm like reading something, or even I react. I'm a big reactor, so we'll be watching something, and if it's something scary or something surprising happening, I'm like, like I scream, I react, I cry. Oh my gosh.
Do you do that inside the movie house?
Yes.
Thank you. You and me both. My wife hates me doing that.
And I'm like, don't shush me.
Me too.
Because that'll
Thank you.
make me even more upset.
I paid for this.
Yeah. I am like this is the emotion that they are eliciting from me. This is what they want.
And I bet you, if the director was there and we did that, he'd be like, yes.
I watched this episode of This Is Us once, and it was like, I mean, there is always a tearjerker watching that show, but it was early, I don't know, first or second season, but I was watching this episode and just feeling all of my feelings, but it wasn't even like, oh, a tear going down. It was like
Bawling.
like sobbing, inconsolable. I was like, it's not okay. And Alan was like, babe, our neighbors are gonna think I'm like hitting you or something. Like this is not cool. And I'm like, and he was like, you have to calm down. This is not, they're gonna think I'm doing something weird to you. And I'm like, I'm sorry. It was a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot for me, and it was a lot. But I don't know.
It's just every movie. What gets to you? Rom-coms, dramas like Nicholas Sparks. Does that get to you? Like his.
I don't know.
People always die in this movie.
Yes, I
I'm
know
like,
that's true. I know. You know what I'm excited to see is Pachinko. It's coming up on Apple Plus. I love the book by Min Jin Lee, and so I'm like on pins and needles. I cannot wait. But it's like epic, sweeping family drama. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for that. I don't do a lot of horror movies.
Yeah.
But I do like suspense.
I like suspense.
But
Gory
gore,
horror. No.
That's not usually what I gravitate to.
I liked From Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh, okay.
Quentin Tarantino. Have you seen that, Mike?
Oh, I didn't see that one.
Like Selma Hayek. You haven't seen that?
No.
Oh, you gotta watch. I'm not telling you what it is.
From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah, it's not From Dawn Till Dusk, but From Dusk Till Dawn. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not saying anything, but you have to watch that.
Okay,
what else? Jeepers Creepers. Have you seen that? That's, oh my God. 1 and 2 people watch it. If you aren't going, you're missing out. Comedy. You like comedy?
I do like comedies.
Like the Dumb and Dumber kind of comedy, or the Adam Sandler kind of comedy, or
I used to I liked Adam Sandler so much growing up, but then like you go back and watch it, you're like, oh, this doesn't hold up. Oh my gosh, this is so offensive. Or like we'd watch it with like our niece or something, and we'd be like, oh my God, this was the best movie, and she's like, this is trash. What do you guys watch? Like, what was this?
How about American Pie?
Yeah, I remember that.
I let my 14-year-old kids watch it.
Yeah.
They're like, what the heck? This is gross.
I know. There's like raunchy comedies. What have I don't even know.
What else?
Recently.
Grown Ups. That's another Adam Sandler movie. What else? Action films.
Sometimes I don't gravitate towards them. My boyfriend likes all the like the Marvel, the superhero.
Oh yeah.
Superhero stuff. I like the animation stuff.
Really?
Yeah, Encanto. Oh my gosh. I just yeah. I just wept and wept.
Te madrigal.
Yeah. It was good.
Like my daughter, my 7-year-old daughter, every time we leave the house, she's like, "Goodbye, casitas."
Oh, he's so cute.
And I have to say goodbye.
Yeah.
Mi amor.
My friend Howard Ho does these YouTube videos where he analyzes the music, and he started. I don't know if they started out, but has gained a big following analyzing a lot of the Lin-Manuel Miranda's music. So Hamilton, he had a whole series on Hamilton, like breaking down the music theory of it. He's
Nice,
a really
that's
incredible music theorist.
That's a nice angle.
Yeah. So he'll break down the motifs. He'll break down, the references to the different raps and stuff like that. And then with Encanto, he was breaking down, the symbolism and the structure of the different songs and stuff like that. It's really fun.
No one talks about Bruno.
Oh,
That's nice.
don't talk about Bruno.
Yeah. It's a nice movie. I didn't like to watch it. I was like, another Disney. Watched it 3 times already.
They do it well.
They do.
But also just the subject, of generational trauma. I mean, that's stuff you didn't think was going to be in like cartoon movies growing up. But they deal with some really heavy stuff and
Yes.
the expectations that parents have for their
Yes.
kids.
Yes.
And, and with their gifts, like that line when she said, you're more than your gifts. Oh my
The miracle
gosh.
is you.
Yeah, I lost it. I was just like, oh
I
my
cry.
goodness. Yeah, because it's like we do pride ourselves, and especially like for, as children of immigrants, you work so hard. If you are given a gift, you work so hard to do your best and to be your best, and it almost feels like it defines you. But to like trust that your own humanity is the miracle,
Right?
is worth the love and respect and regard, regardless of the gift and what you do with the gift.
You.
It's you. Oh my goodness. It's such a beautiful message.
I know, right?
Like,
You guys should watch it. Highly recommended.
I do.
My God, see the 2 guys behind the camera can't even relate. What? Encanto.
Encanto.
So, between movies and doing theater, where are you more comfortable with?
I mean, so much of my life has been in the theater. I feel like I love it. I love being in front of an audience. But I'm learning, I'm always learning, but, to enjoy and relish and play in front of the camera. In the past, in earlier like TV gigs or things like that, where I'm on set for a day or 2, or, if lucky, a week, right? It's, you feel like, okay, I've got a job to do. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it well, but you don't necessarily feel that you're part of the larger ensemble or the core ensemble, right? Because you're a guest in their house. And then most recently, I had my experience in my first major film, and I got to be part of the family. I got to be part of the core group. The core
Share. What movie? Are you allowed to?
Sure.
Okay.
It's Easter Sunday.
No way!
with
You're
Jo-
part of the family. Showing this year, right?
August.
Is that Spielberg?
Yes.
Look at
It's like
you!
Amblin. Well, Spielberg didn't direct it,
Right, but
Amblin
produced,
produced
yeah.
it. Yes. It's Amblin and Rideback, and is directed by Jay Chandrasekhar, starring Jo Koy, written by Ken Cheng, and it's about it's
Ken Jung.
no Cheng.
Cheng. Okay,
Cheng,
I
yeah.
thought Ken Jung. I'm
No.
like, a Korean wrote a Filipino song. No, just kidding.
Ken Cheng. And then and it's an incredible cast. So I got to be part of the family. I play his cousin, and
How many of you did not speak Tagalog?
a handful of us. A handful of us. But then there is some Tagalog in it too, and even like Lydia, who plays his mom, she grew up speaking a different dialect, so so she had to brush up on her Tagalog for it, but it's all good. And then Tia do the heavy lifting when it comes to the Tagalog, and then me and the other I play Tita Yvonne. And then there's a couple of other titos, So we play with we give homage to the Filipino accent.
Amen.
And a little bit of Taglish here and there, but it's a big Filipino American family. So there's a big mix.
Are we gonna cry?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got a lot of heart. I will say that.
Are you able to tell me who the cast members are aside from you and Jo Koy?
Yeah, because that's been announced. So there's Tia Carrere, Lydia Gaston plays his mom. Who else is in it? Some
Are they all Phil-Ams ba? I mean, or are
for the
there?
family?
There are no actors imported from the Philippines to.
Oh, no, most of us are Phil-Am. Yeah. So even Noblezada, and then Brandon Wardell. Let's see.
No Clifford.
Ay, wala.
Sayang, no?
Wala. Lou Diamond Phillips is in it. Tiffany Haddish, Jimmy O Yang, Asif Ali, and then Joey Gila.
No Ruben
comedian.
Wee?
No, I love Ruben though.
I love Ruben. Yeah.
He's wonderful. Rodney Toe,
Okay.
who's fantastic, and then who else? I think
Who's that guy who always plays the Asian villain? Filipino guy. Oh my God. Janelle so interviewed him.
Oh,
He's
I don't think Eugene Cordero
no
is in it. No, I'm just saying
okay.
he's.
So Eugene Cordero.
Yeah, he's one of the main. Yeah.
No Basco brothers in it.
No, just no Basco brothers in it. Yeah.
Who else? A Pagtama, no none. I'm roll calling all the Phil-Ams.
I know.
But this is nice. I mean,
think I'm trying to think. I think I got everyone in it.
this is nice to actually have you guys in it.
Yeah.
How'd you get the part?
I auditioned. I submitted a tape.
So first was the tape. Mm-hmm. Did you have to go do a read face to face or everything?
No, I mean my part is smaller, but I'm still part of the family. So it was just off of the tape. I knew there was interest. Like I was told that there was an interest, but I didn't. So I was like in the core that they were considering, but I didn't find out until quite recent before I had to go to shoot. So we shot last spring. So when I found out, it was like, and you're getting a test and you're getting on a plane. It was that fast for me. But
and you weren't allowed to tell anybody.
No, I mean not until they announced it in the press. So yeah.
Damn.
But it's exciting. It's really exciting. And
What a blessing, no?
yeah, I mean it's wild and fun and wacky and has a lot of. I mean it's the first. I mean I give so much props and respect to all the amazing Filipino filmmakers and artists that are creating work and that are also getting distributed by studios like Yellow Rose, or there are other the Bosco brothers have the fabulous Filipino brothers, right, that just came out. Amazing, it's so fantastic. Joey's in that one too. Joey Gila is in that one. And so to have this be a major studio-backed film with a big Phil-Am family, because I know when I first started working professionally, people didn't know what Filipinos were.
Yes, that's what Lou Diamond Phillips even said.
Yeah.
He had to play a Mexican. He had to play all these races.
Yeah, he played so many other ethnicities. He played Native American. He played it,
How about watching Grey's Anatomy?
Yeah.
And you're looking. I'm going back first episode, second episode, I'm like, let me see the nurses and see how many Filipino nurses there are.
I know, right?
You're like,
No, I know. It's true. And yeah, there are so many hospital shows that didn't have it. And they're slowly starting. But it's like, oh my gosh, like there are so many. And it's not even that I would want to limit Filipinos to just playing nurses, but it's like, you know, that kind of representation and knowing that that's a big part of that.
This episode is brought to you by ABA e-Services.
There was a huge wave of recruitment of Filipino nurses.
Yep.
You know, it should be seen. It should be recognized, especially in, you know, shows set in major cities.
How about the fact that all these half Filipino celebrities are actually sounding the alarm that I'm half Filipino. Yes, my mom's Filipino or my dad's Filipino. Like Olivia Rodrigo would say, my dad's Filipino.
I love it. I love it.
Nice, no?
Yeah, absolutely.
How is Jo Koy to work with?
So kind. Like the kindest, most generous, like lovely human being from the beginning. He would always just express how grateful he was and feels so deeply. And this is a huge project for him too. This is his first, you know, major film, I believe.
Have you seen him live performing?
You know, before I got cast in this film, like the year before, I went to see some friends doing Filipino AF. It's like a sketch show. They do improv. They do sketches.
Filipino AF. Huh?
Yeah. Joy Regulano, I believe, runs that, but a core group of Filipino comedic actors put it on, and a friend of mine was being featured. My friend Tamalin Tumida was being featured.
Wait, hold on. Stop right there. She's your friend?
Yes. I just did a Christmas Carol with her.
Tamalin? Tumita Karate Kid? She's your friend.
She's my friend.
You think she'll be watching this?
I don't know. Maybe.
Are you going to tell her to watch this?
I'll tell her. I'll say there's going to be a whole section where everyone just stop the presses. Tamalin Tumira of Karate Kid.
You're my crush.
Oh my gosh.
I even tell my wife that's my crush.
I mean, she is very crush worthy.
Remember, Jay, back in 86, back in 86, yeah. Like we were all kids and there she was, Karate Kid.
She's fantastic. She played Mrs. Cratchit in A Christmas Carol that we just did. And then and her husband played Mr. Cratchit. So
she has a husband?
She does.
Boo.
Love you, Danny.
Hi, Daddy. Lucky guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
back to you.
So we went to support Tamalin because she's like, come see this show, and we're like, okay. And they have some sketch, they had some stand-ups, and they're like, oh, we have a special guest, and this guy had opened for Jo Koy before, and so let's bring him up, and then other performers. And then they're like, oh, and we have one last special guest. And we're like in this strip mall watching this sketch show. So, you know, like Jo Koy, he'll perform in stadiums and sell out stadiums. And they're like, please welcome Jo Koy.
Just like that.
I know. And we were like, what is happening? What is happening? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Is this real?
Yeah. I was in the second row and I like fell out of myself. We were so excited. He just came and did a surprise set. Didn't, you know, like talked for like 45 minutes and we were like, you're so good. And then like took selfies with everyone afterwards. And so I have a picture of like him and like that he took with like all of our friends. And this was like way before the movie happened. And then when the movie happened, I was like, look at this picture. Look at this.
Was he surprised?
Like, fangirling over you. Yeah. He was like, that's so great. That's so great. So yeah.
That guy can sing.
Mm-hmm. He can dance.
He can dance. Not just dance, but dance.
Yeah.
He's got charisma.
Absolutely.
He can act. He knows how to throw a line, perfect timing. I saw him at in San Jose. What was that big stadium we saw him in? Gee, a big 25,000 people. Just he would sing, and all of us would end up singing.
Yeah.
I'm like, I thought we were watching a comedy, but when he sings, everybody sings with him.
His positivity is so infectious. He really he just beams, and you just can't help but he just wants everyone to feel good, like everyone around him, and it doesn't mean he doesn't have downtimes or have challenges or anything like that, but for him, he just has such an incredible positive attitude. He's like, I don't even think about the word hope. It just is. It is. It is. He's always talking about like the world that he envisions as it is now, and it's just it's a beautiful thing to witness. Yeah.
When you're witnessing this is now an irony, or more paradoxical. But when you're witnessing him talking about, again, there's no hope. It just is, right? That's him. And you're there in his world. Does that make you hopeful?
I know.
Right? It's such a paradox, right? There's no hope. It is what it is. And you're in this nice world.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God. I'm like, me just listening to you talking about him, it is making me hopeful.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I remember... I hope I'm telling the story correctly, but I remember, because Joey Gila is a stand-up comic who is open for him, and he has been opening for him on tour and everything. And he had said that he remembers they were playing a gig in, I think it was San Diego, and he looked up and it was pretty full in the bottom, but the balcony wasn't sold out, and he said, Joe was like, I'm going to come back and we're going to sell this place. We're going to sell this place a couple times over. And he was like, and then we came back and then we did. Like he just said it. He just put it out in the universe and said, this is going to happen. This is how much it's going to grow. And then he was like, and then it just happened. Like he just willed it to happen.
Let's talk about, and then we'll tie back into the, and then it just happened. But let's go back to your face contouring every time you say the lines and all that.
Okay.
And the reason why I want to go back there, I also want to go back to the way you react when you watch movies, when you're really reacting 100% to the movie. Is this because when you're in it 100%? Now, compare that to Jo Koy's work ethic. Is it fair to say that all of you came in with 100% of what you got?
I think we all came ready to play. I mean, when I landed in, because we shot mostly in Vancouver. When I landed in Vancouver, I had 2 weeks to quarantine and 2 weeks to kind of stew in my brain, like, what is happening? How?
Right.
What? I'm about to do a movie? What is going on? And kind of get in and then out of my head. Because...
How is that in and out? How is that in and out process?
Because, when we did a table read on Zoom, and our director was like, come with your jokes, like come with your, we're gonna do the takes as written, and then we're gonna play around a little bit.
Okay, stop there. You did a table read on Zoom. I'm trying to visualize this. The director was there, cast was there. Was Jo Koy there?
Oh yeah.
How did it feel having the gallery view on Zoom?
It was
and knowing full well that one of the people in the gallery was Jo Koy.
I know. It was amazing.
Like, where you try to pinch yourself going,
oh my gosh. People were taking like screenshots. We ended up like one of the gifts we got from the producers was like a mug with like everyone's face from the Zoom reading, that.
Okay, so continue with the story. So you were doing the Zoom meetings, and the reads.
Everyone came from a different background. So there were people like me and Lydia who like primarily came from a theater background. Eva Noblezada, who's a musical, like she's like 2-time Tony nominee. I mean, incredible. But then there were people who came from a stand-up background, like Joey. There are people who did a lot of improv or, doing a lot of sketch. And then there were people like Eugene who's like worked up and down all over the place. Everything from like Clint Eastwood movies to like King Kong, like to like big action movies to, The Good Place and, all of these incredible comedies. And so he's had such a breadth of work. And it can be intimidating because you're like, what? Okay, what do I have to bring to the table? And, those 2 weeks of quarantine were enough for me to kind of get in my head and get, question and get my insecurities out of the way and just be like, you know how to play. So just get in there and play and listen and be with each other. And like, I was like trying to write jokes in my head, but like it's always just in the moment when it happens, so we would do lines in different ways or, just try different things. And it just felt so good to have that time with the cast and have the time to build a rapport with one another and to just riff off of each other and joke and make each other laugh. Because that's really what, like, we were just trying to like make each other laugh.
So you guys were allowed to actually deviate from the script?
I mean, a little bit, yeah. I mean, the script was evolving just because it's a new, it's a new thing. Right. So sometimes we would get new pages, or that's just
would you
part
rewrite
of the
on set? No.
Sometimes they would just try this instead.
Okay.
Or like just little lines here and there, not huge sweeping changes.
So what's the difference between doing comedy on stage, doing comedy as a stand-up, which means you're just alone, and doing comedy behind in front of a camera without immediate feedback?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
I mean, I think it is. They are a lot of different skill sets. Like you said, stand up is just you
right.
on your own. So the thing that you have to ride is the audience, right? And then when you're working with other people,
it's theater.
In the theater or even on camera. I mean, in the theater,
it's
with
us,
plays,
and then we have feedback from the audience right away, right?
Yeah. And then also with theater, you have, in general, if you're doing a play or a musical, you have a certain number of weeks, whether it's 2 weeks, whether it's 4 weeks, to rehearse. But it's pretty set.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of big changes happening. Like people aren't changing lines on you when you're doing a play because it's pretty set in that way. Like the how you react to each other, the act, like how someone the tactics may shift a little bit,
right?
But the objectives pretty much stay the same. Like you're not gonna not enter when you're supposed to enter. Like in theater, those kinds of things, the blocking and stuff like that, those are pretty set. And then when you're on camera, you'll have maybe how you rehearsed it, but usually you're just rehearsing it like once or twice before you shoot it. And then when you shoot it, you do it as rehearsed. And then maybe you'll do a take where you try something different. But it's all encapsulated just in that one scene. So as a play, you're telling the story from beginning to end.
Right.
You don't stop and go back and do the scene a different way.
Correct.
You're telling
it's very
the story.
linear, yeah.
Yeah. And then so I would say those are the main differences. And then but all of it has to do with being present and just listening. Because like even though with a play you might have the line set, it's like you still have to be listening. There's a joke, where people are like, oh, it's just blah, 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 my line,
Yeah.
But it's like, it can't really, like, it doesn't really serve the story if you're only thinking about your lines. You have to look at the other person, listen to the other person, react to what they're giving you. Like that's, and then have that set when you're doing it.
Did you notice any difference, like when you're doing it in a theater? If we're throwing lines at each other, there is instant feedback from the audience from our periphery. So it's there, I mean, we have to keep a straight face, but that audience is there, right?
Yeah.
How different is it doing it in front of a camera and a film crew without immediate feedback and having to do it so many times because of different camera changes or whatever.
Angles.
Yeah, how did you get to adapt to that?
I mean, if it's a particularly funny scene, but they're trying to like keep quiet, you know, because sometimes you'll hear chuckle. But you know, if they're trying to, you know, be, because they can't just bust out laughing.
Yeah.
But what'll happen is, you know, if it's a really funny scene, they'll call cut, and then people will then release after that, you know. But you just have to kind of trust what's the energy that's happening between the actors, you know, in the scene, and then you'll get the feedback afterwards.
Have you seen the final product?
I haven't.
Is there there is going to be a premiere, right?
I
hope so.
I hope so.
I hope so.
Yeah.
So, after this Easter Sunday movie, which I'm excited to see also, do you think there's hope for the Filipino community, the Fil-Am community?
I do. I mean, absolutely. And it isn't even just with the things that Joe is creating. I mean, the thing that I love about him and why he's so passionate about telling the story is he wants our voices to be heard.
Amen.
And it's not even just his personal.
Right.
You know, he wants Filipino stories to be told. He believes that, you know, that's why he tells stories about his mom and his family and his experience, because it's like, that's a story that needs to be told, you know, and it's not even just for Filipinos. It's for a wide audience.
Yes.
I mean, he has everyone under the sun at his audiences, not just Filipinos. But because he speaks from such an authentic place, from such a specific place, that speaks universally. And, you know, to see these projects coming forward with Fil-Am stories, with Filipino casts, you know, there's the cleaning lady on Fox, and Joe has, you know, a pilot that he's working on, and there are other Filipinos who have the opportunity to tell their stories. It's really exciting.
Yes.
My friend Leslie Tenorio, who wrote The Son of Good Fortune, Ruben did the audiobook for that, but it's such a good book. But that's in the early stages of being developed into a series for Amazon, you know, and that's such a
nice.
It's such an incredible story. And it's like, I'm already casting it in my head. I was like, oh, you know who should play so-and-so, you know, because it, what did I say? I think I was having a conversation. We were having lunch, I think. And I told Joe, I said, you know, what's so remarkable is that this is our everyday, you know, like these stories and these people, the people that we have put so much love into creating this family. This is so unremarkable to us. It's just our everyday.
Right.
But it's remarkable that it hasn't been told in this way, or that it hasn't been seen.
I agree.
In such a wide, potentially such a wide audience. And that's what's so important to me.
We're a funny community.
Yeah. I mean, and I've been really lucky in that throughout my career, I have had the opportunity to play Filipino. Like, you know how I said when I first started, they were like, we don't even know what Filipinos are. Like, I had agents tell me I should learn Spanish, I should change my name, I should, you know, because I also wasn't going to be cast as Chinese or Japanese because I didn't look like that, like East Asian, you know. So they were like, you're going to go out for more Latino parts, so you should learn Spanish and you should change your name to Castillo, which is my mom's maiden name.
Okay.
And I was just like, but I'm not, you know. And it wasn't until years later that I started to portray Filipinos as Filipinos. And I did the world premiere of Dog Eaters, which is based on the novel by Jessica Hagedorn. I did a play. I did the world premiere play at La Jolla Playhouse for that. I did Here Lies Love, which is the David Byrne musical about Imelda Marcos and about the rise and fall of the Marcoses and the people power revolution. And I had a really wonderful part in that I love so much. And to be able to tell that history and to tell that story in such an incredible theatrical experience was like it was like one of the pivotal highlights of my career. And then now
Nice,
Easter
no?
Sunday. Yeah. And so I have been very, very lucky to be able to tell Filipino stories. I did Monstrous in San Francisco, which is based on short stories from Leslie Tenorio as well. So it's been a big blessing. And yeah, it's like I love being Filipino.
Right? We're like, bring it on.
I know. I really do.
How about egos on the set?
This episode is brought to you by Leo Bato and Associates, ang realtor na patok.
Really, none. Like everyone just came with so much love and heart and generosity. Yeah, it was more than I could have ever dreamed or asked for, because people have egos. People do. People fight for things. People, they want to be the center of attention.
Right.
And it really just wasn't like that. I mean, Joe is number one on the
Of course.
list. He's the lead. But even he came with like such a generous spirit. Like everyone was always, supporting each other when they're doing the flip. He's standing right there doing the scene with you.
When easily he could have just sat
he
back
could
in
have
his
had-
trailer.
Yeah,
or
he could have. Yeah, no, everyone was always, so present, so willing, just really doing their best to kind of give their all and so much heart. Like, I mean, Tia Carrere, she played my mom, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I grew up watching her, and I was at first intimidated, but then, the first few days where we were all like together as a family, and she was like, you're funny. And I was like, okay, it's just like, and we just make each other laugh. And I think the world of her. I just think the world of, everyone was really, really fantastic. And yeah, no, there were no egos in that sense.
Wow.
Yeah. Really lucky.
Tamilin Tumita. No, just kidding. After all that story, I was like,
she wasn't in the
sorry,
movie.
I'm still there.
She wasn't in the movie. No, she's the best. She's awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
So now, the nice thing about this podcast, there are a lot of little girls and their moms watching the podcast, believe it or not. My daughter, who's 7, like, she feels that she's a madrigal. And she's one of those dreamers who will appreciate this episode. I just know. You lost mom at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
You wish she was actually here on Easter Sunday to watch Easter Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
What can you tell these little kids who have dreams and strict parents? How can you encourage them to just keep moving forward like you did?
I think ultimately your life has to be yours to live, right? And trust that your parents raised you to be kind, to be good, to give your all. Those are all the things that so many parents, try to raise their children with. And yes, there are parents that are more more disciplinarians than others, and some that, may think, oh, this is a better path for you. Understand that it comes from a place of love, that it comes from a place of wanting you to not have to struggle. Being an artist is hard.
Very hard.
It's got its ups and downs. Absolutely.
You got a lot of, you have to eat that.
Yeah.
Your humble pie. You have to pay your dues big time.
Yeah. And there's no trajectory that's just like I'm climbing a corporate ladder, right? But even, if the pandemic taught us anything, like even jobs where you think you have all of this stability and structure and I'm going to climb this ladder, people were having the rug pulled out from under them left and right, So it's like, it really can happen anywhere. So you may as well do something that you love. It takes hard work. It takes discipline. It takes practice. It takes all of those things. But if you love it, it doesn't feel like a chore. It can be hard. It can be challenging. You can take a dance class and be like, okay, what the heck am I doing? You know,
Yeah.
like it can be challenging, but you'll find what is right for you. You know, I'm not a dancer. I love to dance, but I'm not a dancer. I'm not going to be, you know, I'm not going to be in big dance shows or those kinds
Right.
of musicals. Like I will
Step it up.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah, yeah. Any popping, locking, yeah. I'm not gonna that choreography. That's not happening for me, and that's okay because it's like
Yes.
as you get older, you will know yourself. It's not that you can't challenge yourself. It's not that you can't grow as an artist, but you'll find the path that's right for you and that feels good and that resonates with you and feels like you're doing the right thing. Some people love science. Some people love
Yes.
reading. They love teaching, so there are so many different fields. But I think being in the theater, being a performer, all of the things that you'll learn from pursuing that is, confidence, communication, all of those things.
I agree.
So even if you don't end up working professionally in that field, that's okay. Like, because you're still going to gain so many incredible things by pursuing art and expressing in your art. And then for those who do want to pursue it professionally, who do want to make it their career, it takes a lot of determination. It takes a lot of will. It takes a lot of just just like I'm still standing. It's like it's not everyone can win an Academy Award.
Right.
You can dream about it, and that's great, and that's good, and if that's the be all and end all of what you think defines success, then okay, But for me, just the day-to-day moments of working with people that I respect and admire, working on new plays, new projects, challenging myself to try different different avenues in how I work and all of that, then that feels like success to me.
Day job.
It's like, do I have one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I still have one.
See, right?
I just think it's if I can do it, if I can hold on to a day job and do that and then still audition and still work. I mean, I'm working pretty steadily, but I still have a day job. I still clock in my hours and do my thing. And
So when you went to Vancouver, what did you have to tell work?
I work remotely.
Oh, look at it.
So they knew. They were very excited for me. They knew. But it was like, I'm quarantining for 2 weeks, so I can still definitely put in my work for these couple weeks that I'm in quarantine. And then, as we're shooting, I'll just let you know when I'm available and I'll do my reports when I can. And then when I can't, then y'all can pick up the slack. But they're very flexible with me because they know that this is my life. As an actor.
What's your 9 to 5?
Oh, it's not 9 to 5.
It's
the
not.
thing. No, it's less. I mean, it's more of a part-time.
What do you
thing.
do?
I work for HR and I work in customer relations. I'm a
Look
guest
at
advocate for a vegan restaurant chain called Veggie Grill.
Are you vegan?
I'm not.
Then why do we have didn't we have vegan ice cream though?
There was one was vegan because I didn't know if you're a vegan or not. So I was like, I'm gonna have one regular, that Wonderlust ice cream.
But
I'm gonna have one
thank you for the
regular and
ice
one
cream.
vegan. The vegan's really good. I tried it. It's
So the ube that we had, it's not the vegan one.
that's
no?
not the vegan one. And
It's
then
so ironic
the
we all
other
had
one.
the ube.
I know you. I mean, come on, Filipinos. You gotta.
How is it? Oh, speaking of it, let's go back to the movie. Catering. Did you guys have Filipino food?
Sometimes I don't remember anymore. No, I think they had a catering company, and then on special days they would have some
Like
Filipino
kare-kare.
food or
Adobo.
we did. No, we would seek it out though. We would find a restaurant or something, and we did have an event. I think it was for Joe's birthday. Yeah, we had a big Filipino party.
Gosh. I'm so excited for you with regard to that, no? The journey. So plays, theater, TV, movie. Was that the journey?
Mm-hmm. And then still more theater.
You think you'd revert back, like your home base would be theater?
I mean, I have done 3 plays back to back since September, October. So I just got back from doing South Pacific. Prior to that, I had 2 other plays that I kind of did back to back. I love it. I love it. I know what I'm doing when I'm doing it. And, you know, and I would love to do more TV and film, you know, so it's just a grind. So I'm like, I'm doing the self-tape first thing in the morning.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. Because that's just how it, you know, I'm back in town. My agents are like, all right, here's some auditions. So,
Wow.
yeah. That's the job. That's the life.
Let's talk about discipline, consistency, passion drive. Because you're memorizing lines when you're doing a play. You're going to have to show up and rehearse when you're doing a play. So all these things, how does this translate in real life? Like what you mentioned a while ago, these habits that you have developed, do you carry this in everything that you do in life or just for your craft?
You mean, am I that disciplined with every area in my life? I mean, I don't know. Our house could be cleaner. I don't know. I could be more disciplined there.
Ditto.
You know, I could be more consistent with that. No, I mean, I try. I think, you know, I think the thing is with my craft, it's what I am most passionate about. You know, I'm not as passionate about doing my taxes this year.
I know, right?
You know, but it's gonna happen.
You know, when you mentioned it, my heart just skipped. Oh my God. Here we go again. I'm still paying for last year.
I mean, you know, those are like the day-to-day things. But as far as like the work and the passion that I put into that, you know, it's kind of saved for my craft. No, I mean, I like learning. I like trying. Like during the pandemic, I was the one. I was cooking. I was baking breads, and I made pandesal.
Really?
Yeah. So
you
I
have
didn't do the
you have a
sourdough
bread
cake.
maker.
No, I just
Oven?
baked. Yeah, in the
Oh
oven.
my God.
Yeah.
Okay. We should have addressed this early on during the podcast, but we'll tell the audience the reason why we're speaking in English and not the vernacular is because you only know like 0.3% Tagalog words. You can't understand Tagalog.
Very, very, very little. Kunti lang.
Did you understand what you just said?
Yeah, I understand what I said. That's what I'm saying. It's like it's just a very, very small vocabulary of like.
You were born and raised here.
Yes, I was born in New York and then grew up mostly in Eastern Washington.
Have you been to the Philippines though?
I have twice.
Twice.
So I went once when I was in graduate school. And then once more recently in 2019, my dad, I said, is
Yes.
not there, and he had a stroke recently.
I'm sorry.
So we went out to
Where does he live in the Philippines?
Davao.
Is the family from Davao?
Yeah.
Nah, see, that's the reason why you never spoke Tagalog.
Why?
Because people there speak Bisaya. Are you sure they were talking in Tagalog or Bisaya?
Probably both. Yeah.
I think they were predominantly Bisaya and all that stuff. Davao's a nice place.
Yeah.
So you were in Davao.
Yeah, that's where we were. Yeah.
Nice. Did you see we're in Davao, Davao City?
Yeah, Davao City. So we were right. My dad, they're right, kind of like right by the airport.
Right by Ecoville. Echo. So what were those places? I was in Davao for a month.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that during the happening times of Davao back in the, I think, late 90s. Oh, the music scene in Davao was...
Wow.
Should have... So did you go to Manila, no?
Not that time, no. I had been to Manila the first time we went to the Philippines. We were there for a little bit. But this time we were just in Davao. And then my sister and her husband came, and then we did have like a weekend on Samal Island.
Ooh!
Yeah, so we did a little getaway there.
Did you go to Paradise Island?
We did not go to... Oh, no, we did go to Paradise Island. That's right. We
You
did.
did?
Yeah.
Believe
We
it
just
or
went there
not.
for like a meal, yeah.
our band
Uh-huh.
opened Paradise Island.
Wow.
Like grand opening of Paradise
Ay,
Island. Remember that, Jay? Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Ay, wow.
Biplane.
Ay,
Yeah.
wow. Jay, what do you play? What? You play keys. Okay. Good.
I know. Now, Phil-Am actors. Have you worked with Filipino actors? Like from the Philippines coming here to do projects with you guys?
When I did Here Lies Love in Seattle, Mark Bautista played our Ferdinand Marcos. So he had
What was
done the
it?
show in London, and then when we did the production in Seattle, he came out to do that.
What was it like working with Mark?
Fantastic. He's lovely.
This is so nice, no?
He's
Is there,
great.
is there a fraternity of theater actors, or is it more, that's you guys, this is our company, that's your company, we're gonna
My
fight it
goodness,
off.
there's so much love. My friends Liz Casasola and Billy Bustamante, they're from New York, and they have a big group called Broadway Barcada. And so it's just a lot of film musical theater performers supporting each other, and they'll put on shows when they can, like especially before the pandemic, they were putting on, dance performances, musical performances, concerts, and things like that. And then when we were in Seattle, because there were so many members, since a lot of the actors were from New York, we put on a Broadway Barcada concert in Seattle as well, and then we did one here in LA. So it's like it's a big love fest. There's a big fraternity, like you said, big
Nice.
Barcada.
Are you gonna
People
write
who-
your own play in the future?
Oh my goodness, I have not tried that. But I don't know. I should. I know when I was in grad school, I did some writing, like one person shows and things like that. I should think about it.
Yeah, about your mom.
Writing. Yeah. Ay, mama. Aurora Castillo Butiu. That's my mom.
Nakakamiss, no? Don't you miss? Yeah, it's like you never get over it, especially with every win you have in your life. It's more, yay! I wish she was here.
Yeah. She's a big part of why I wanted to be a performer. Even though she didn't pursue it professionally in her life, it was such a big part of her life still. And yeah, I miss her all the time. It comes in waves, But I love her and I miss her, and yeah. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the time that I had with her, even if it was short.
So now, that being said, knowing that up to now there's still that longing for mom, you've already tap boarded a major film. You're doing your place again after the pandemic. Things are happening. There is momentum. What do you see in 2022, 2023, 2024 and onwards?
I mean, if anything, this life has taught me is there's no way of predicting, right? But I would hope to grow. I would hope to have the opportunities to play with my family again in the movie, or see them, and I'm looking forward to that premiere, and to just have the opportunity to tell more stories, more Filipino American stories and Filipino stories. That would make me so happy, to be able to share our experiences with a wider audience. Yeah. And whatever medium that is, theater, TV, film, I would love to grow in any and all of the avenues. Absolutely. But yeah, there are so many people that I respect and admire and would love to just uplift and watch and celebrate and, be part of that. Yeah.
Are you happy?
Very happy. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Feel really just really lucky every day, you know. I was just even oh my goodness, just going over my taxes. It's so silly, but it was like it just hit me like what an incredible year it's been and how lucky I've been.
Amen.
You know, it's like I know taxes is like, oh, it's such a snore, right? Or it's like, oh, it's such a chore to like have to go through all of that, you know, but to even just like look back at this past year and go, wow, like this has been an incredible year, and like the places that I've been able to travel to, the things that I've been able to do, the people that I've been able to meet is like all like looking at these tax forms is still like a reflection on the experiences and the adventures that I've had. That's really exciting, you know. And so I don't take it for granted, you know. I don't. Joe knows how the movie's going to be received. I don't know, right? But.
This episode is brought to you by ABBA e-Services.
It's out of my hands, right? So all I have is the experience that I had and the people that I connected with and the time that I was present in that moment. And then, you know, what happens now is up to the universe. And I just have to be present with each moment. You know, I think when we finished rapping and I had these theater opportunities come up, I was like, should I go out of town? But what if my agents want me here in LA? What if I need to, you know, and every opportunity that I said yes to, I was just so excited and happy to say yes to. And I made great friends. I had incredible experiences. And I don't regret it, you know. I don't regret being out of town. You know, the juggle with, especially with actors in LA, it's like, if you do theater, then that's just going to take you out. It's going to take you out of the pool. And I get that. But also the experiences that I gained from working with incredible people and artists. And I've worked with some amazing female directors that I'm so grateful for. I wouldn't trade that experience, and I wouldn't trade the relationships that I created just so that I could be in LA for another month to audition.
Those are little risks that you're taking also.
Yeah.
No regrets, right?
Yeah. And I mean, the way auditions are happening now anyway, everything is on tape. So it's like I can be in Houston and put myself on tape for something, and then if something happens, I'll cross that bridge when I come to it.
That would be nice. Maybe we should start sending our tape.
That's all.
Michael does Dallas.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Oh goodness gracious.
So you and Alan have different careers.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that sometimes people don't understand. There has to be an understanding and trust for both of you to succeed, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's the conversation like? Like going into a project, is it you do your thing, I do my thing? Is it like that?
No, I mean, when he plays his music, when we first started dating, I was going like every week to see his band, right? And then the other girlfriends or the other wives of the other band members were like, "You're here every week?" I was like, "Yeah, they're good."
Yeah.
You know, they would come like on occasion. So now I go on occasion, like when they play. I'm like, "Where are you playing?" "Oh yeah, that's far. I'm gonna stay at home." But you know, if there's a gig that he's excited about and I know I can make it, then I'll go. And you know, sometimes I'll sit in and sing a couple songs with them. You know, and that's fun too. But I'm happy to go to cheer them on. I just don't go every week anymore.
How about you? How does he support you?
He will come out. He came out to Houston to see my shows. He you know, because if I'm working regionally, I'm traveling around the country and I'll be gone for like, usually it's a couple months at a time. This last one was 5 weeks, so it was actually very, very fast. But he'll come out. He'll come out for opening night.
When he comes out, does he surprise you, or I'm coming out?
Oh no, we plan it.
Okay.
We plan it, and then he'll come either to opening or another weekend depending on his schedule, and then but he's incredibly supportive. If there's a show that he can't make, we just keep in touch, and
Right.
FaceTime is great. and
How long have
all
you guys
that.
been together?
Oh my goodness, 13 years.
No plans of marriage?
Not yet. Not anytime.
Does it still...
It's one of those abstract things.
Yeah.
It's like,
How-
sure, someday.
How do you feel? Okay, let me rephrase it. How did you feel back in the day, 13 years ago, when he would come down and watch you perform? Compare that with how do you feel a few months ago or a few weeks ago when you last performed that he was there?
Like, was I more nervous
Or excited, inspired? Or...
I'm always excited. I'm always excited for him to come.
See, 13 years.
Yeah,
God
yeah.
bless you. It has to be that. Shouldn't it be that way, right?
Yeah. I'm always like, I hope you like it. It's a lot like Rodgers and Hammerstein. So it's a golden era. South Pacific is a golden era musical. And I
Yeah.
played Bloody Mary, which, it at one point in time when I would read the material, for an audition or something, I'm like, I don't like this part. I don't want this part. Why? What? This is so over the top. It's so like, why is she so crazy? And why is she written in this way? But working on it, I've grown to love her, and I've grown to kind of craft my story behind who she is and her character and stuff. But it's an old-fashioned musical. It was like 1949 it first came out, and it's almost a 3-hour musical. So I'm like, it's gonna be long. I hope you like it. It's got a big, sweeping, beautiful score. We had a 26-piece orchestra.
Live,
It
no?
was live.
Yeah.
It was glorious. But he loved it. He was so excited. And then when I was in Boston, I did Sunday in the Park with George, Sondheim, and I was like, I don't know how he's going to feel about this. It's kind of quirky. It's Sondheim. It's not like he grew up watching musicals, but he was like, I love it. And he says like he likes watching the show a couple of times because he likes to watch the audience's reaction.
Yeah.
He likes to see how the audience is reacting.
To listen to the band. I mean, me, that's what I do.
Yeah.
Let me go to the pit.
Oh yeah.
If I could find seats close to the orchestra pit or where the band is.
Yeah. You peek over.
Yeah. Oh my God, that would be, because it's a different world also.
Oh, absolutely. I know.
Conductor's looking at you guys, or and then the band's looking at the conductor, and everything has to go in sync and every.
Yeah. It's fun, and so I'm still always very excited when he can come see it. Here Lies Love, he's seen probably like 28 times, like including all of the different iterations, the different productions that we did. He's seen that so many times because he's a big David Byrne fan too.
This is the reason why I'm smiling is because when you're talking about Alan, there's that sparkle in your eyes still,
Yeah.
right? You guys noticed it? Shout out to you, Alan.
I still have a crush on him.
How important is that, right?
I know.
What keeps your relationship going? Look at that smile.
I'm very horny. I see him and I'm just like, ooh. I think he thinks I objectify him too much, but whatever.
It's a good thing, though. Yeah.
I do. I just think he's the cutest.
I was going to end that podcast.
And she's horny. Yeah, that's right.
Oh my God.
Keep that fire alive.
Yes.
Get ready.
Yes. Thank you for saying that. I keep saying that
Oh
because,
my gosh. I think it's so important.
right?
I'm a big fan.
And having that priority thing set, do you set aside time for yourselves, both of you, like together time?
Yeah, we do. We try
Not by
to.
chance, like planning. Let's go out here.
Yeah, sometimes, and sometimes it'll just be like, all right, tomorrow we're gonna have a little, we're gonna have some
Get
time.
together.
Yeah, we're gonna take time to cuddle.
So
Whatever. It's
you
good.
live
It's good.
on the beach. So have you streaked on the beach, both of you?
No, not. He's not that kind of exhibitionist. No.
Because I'm thinking if I lived in Manhattan Beach, I probably would.
He gets shy if like the window shades are open,
Oh my god!
which is fine. I get it. It's like the buildings are so close together.
Right, houses together, and oh my god!
So we have to be careful if we're like, running across the place for something.
If I were to start, if I were, is there a time to start diving or immersing oneself into the arts? Like, should I be a kid? Should I be an adolescent? Should I be a young adult? Should I be a grown man? Should I be an old man? Or is there no time?
No, there's no time. I think, there are kids who grow to love it right from the beginning, and that's fantastic. But if someone's like discovering something new or a discipline that's new, it's like, oh, I haven't gone to the theater a lot. Like, you shouldn't be intimidated to try or to go. It's like, I don't have a degree, and you don't even have to know, right? You don't even have to know what it is you're going into. Like, I don't have a degree in art, like visual art, but I still love going to museums, and I don't even know who all the artists are, but I know what moves me. I know what strikes me. I love just like seeing new things and seeing, what people are interpreting and how they're expressing, with the different mediums.
Yeah.
And, I love contemporary art. I don't know who I'm looking at, but I know that I'm moved when I see it. I don't think that there's any ideal time to start. I'm always happy to start young. Start listening to different types of music when you're young. But you'll appreciate it in a different way as you get older, I think. Anyway. And the things that, struck you when you're young are probably going to hit you in a different way when you're older, or even with life lived in a different way, right? Something that moved you when you were younger, all of a sudden you have a different perspective.
Like Adam Sandler.
No shade to Adam Sandler. I still have a lot of love for Adam Sandler, but it's like, ooh, some of those jokes were cringy. Like
That were once funny back in the day.
that like had me rolling in the aisles when I was younger, and then you're watching it going, oh, is that okay? was that all right? I don't. But I'm sure he's grown as a person and what he finds funny and all of those things. But that comes with, time and experience and all of that good stuff. But just the fact that you're fearless, that's the thing that I appreciate is like, if someone is like fearless to just put themselves out there, put out what they think is funny to them at that time and, and just go and just,
Are you fearless?
I don't know. Am I fearless? With some things, I think. With some things, like, I'll make a choice and then I'll go, right? Or I'll if I'm approaching a character or approaching a new, a text or something, like I love to kind of dive in and try things. I don't think that means that I'm fearless. I think, what's crazy about this business as an artist is, a lot of sometimes you'll have teachers who are like, you have all the confidence in the world and you can't let them see you sweat, and you go in and you get that job done, right? But then we're in a profession where we're supposed to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
We're supposed to have those vulnerabilities and expose ourselves, right? So they're almost opposing ideas because you can't you can't talk about your insecurities and your vulnerabilities and your fears, and yet oftentimes those are the things that make
you are complete as an actor.
Yeah,
right?
And a human being.
Yes,
because those are things that we all go through, and people facing those fears, when they do, it's not that they're fearless. They're trying, and that's what we all are doing as humans. We're trying.
So I guess being fearless is different from being courageous, because what you're saying is doing it even in the presence of fear.
Yeah.
And that's courage. Because being fearless is more, you're probably on drugs or not, just kidding.
No. But also sometimes acknowledging your fear or acknowledging your vulnerability and honoring that actually takes courage too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So like if someone just chooses to stand in their truth and be like, I don't want to do this thing, and be okay with it, that takes a lot of courage also.
Yes.
Right? So yeah.
How are you with saying no? Because that's why when you said this, like, it takes courage to decline an offer.
Yeah. I'm getting better. I'm getting better at saying no. And I think I'm getting better at saying no. And I think there's power in that, certainly. But I think I'm getting better at saying no because I'm getting better at knowing who I am and not trying to please everybody or trying to get every job or think that, like, oh, I have to say yes to everything. And it's not that I'm above things. It's also just like, oh, that's not my voice, right? Like there are some musicals where I'll be called for an audition and it's like my voice is happy in the lower register. Like I'm an alto, I do belt a little bit, but I'm not like what they call a skrelter.
Yes. Or a whistler.
Yeah. I'm not a whistler. I'm not a like, like I don't sing up in the rafters. Like I know my
You're
voice.
more of like the unbreak my heart kind.
Tony Braxton.
Yeah.
Say you love
See?
me again.
See?
No, but if I hear material and I immediately know it's not my voice, then it's like
Right.
I'm not gonna break my back trying to give them a sound that I know is not me, because I also don't want to give a bad audition. Like I want to put my best foot forward. So if I know that a part is just simply not my voice, then that's okay. Like I'm happy to say no to that. Like I wish whoever gets it, all the joy in the world, but that's not me,
See, it takes a certain level of maturity to actually be able to do that. Because to know your limitations, that in itself is admirable, because other people will be reckless, like what you said. If it's not within my range, and if it's a misrepresentation, it'll hurt you more than benefit you, right?
Well, yeah. And then with theater, it's like, even if it's something that I could hit, once in a while,
There's no consistency.
In theater, you're doing 8 shows a week. So it's if you're singing something that's just not in your voice and you're doing it that much, doesn't mean that I'm not always working on my voice.
Right.
I still take voice lessons. I'm still working on, just my technique and my range and stuff like that. But I can hear something and know if it's not for me, or even if just the material doesn't speak to me. It'll be better suited with someone else. And that's a good thing, because they should have someone that's right for the part. And if it's not that I don't have confidence in what I can bring as an actor or as an artist, but if I know that like this is not for me, then they should have someone, like in a relationship too.
I was gonna go there. I was gonna go there.
Like if I'm not the right person for you, then it's good for you, you know, that you find someone else. Right?
It means you have to be honest with yourself and honest to the people around you.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because the right person is out there, and the right person is out there for, whatever role, they're looking to fill, I think. And it's okay if it's not always me.
Wow. That's a nice that's wow. When you say it's okay if it's not always me.
I think, as actors who are always putting themselves out there, who are always auditioning, like you feel like if you're not booking everything or booking a majority of the things that you're auditioning for, you're like, what's wrong with me? What am I doing wrong? Right? And you can really get into your head about that. But the thing is, it's like, if a casting director is receiving 500 submissions, 1,000 submissions, one person is going to get that role. So it's not always going to be you. And that's okay. It doesn't mean that you're bad at your craft. It doesn't mean that you're not good at what you do. It's just, this is the luck of the, it's also what they're looking for as far as like who else is in the scene, how they, all of that. There's a lot of factors that aren't in your hands. So you only have control of what you do. So if you feel like I'm going to do my work, I'm going to make my choices, I'm going to be present, I'm going to have fun, then that's all you can do. Like that's your part, that's your job.
This episode is brought to you by Leo Bato and Associates, ang realtor na patok.
And then it's their job to decide how to put all the pieces together. But that's not in your hands. So it's better not to worry about that.
And you know what? It's nice that you say that, because imagine if it was just handed to you and you didn't have to pay your dues and do the grind of going through auditions. Brandon Routh, the guy who played Superman in Superman Returns, he was on a podcast. I think it was Michael Rosenbaum's podcast, and he actually said Superman was handed to him. He didn't have to audition for it. It was his. And so he felt, and I'm paraphrasing, he felt that there was a certain level of disrespect, not really said, but he felt that he didn't belong because his agents, everybody thought that this is our meal ticket, Superman, blah blah blah, all that stuff. After that movie, there was no returns again or whatever. It was just a one-off. And you know what? He realized that auditioning was actually the way to go, because it grounded him, and now he feels more fulfilled as an actor. Like what you were saying a while ago, you're not always going to get it, but actually it's the process of being present and being there and knowing what you can and can't. Am I correct?
I think so. I mean, I don't know what the attitude people had towards him on set or anything like that, but I imagine it could also have been his perception, because he told himself, this was just handed to me. What am I doing here? Right? So then he's like, oh, that person's looking at me. And, I don't know. But
it could be right. It could be, yeah.
It's his interpretation of how people are. Where in reality, they're like, the other people on set are like, I got my lines to learn. The grips are like, they're doing their thing. Everyone has their job to do. And they're probably less focused on him than he thinks they are. But that's how we move through the world, right? It's like we think, we tell a story to ourselves, and then we look for the evidence around us. So it's like, oh, that person's looking at me funny, or he doesn't think, he's thinking this about me, and that's confirming my own bias, right? Or the story that I'm telling myself. And I'm not saying that what he's saying isn't true, or that
nice.
people, that
nice.
people, that there maybe were people, or maybe he overheard, I don't know. But oftentimes, what we perceive as other people's opinions of us, it's really a reflection of our own opinion of ourselves, right? And so if he was indeed handed a part, even if he was handed a part, he still had to prove himself. He still had to perform. He still had to show up to work and do the work. Even if it felt like it kind of happened overnight, or someone was like, I want to make you Superman or whatever. There's still a process to it. It might feel like it happened overnight. I mean, I have been working at this craft for, many, many years. And I still felt when I got Easter Sunday, I'm like, what just happened? What just happened? Like, this just happened. Like, this is crazy. There was still this like sense of awe and like, did they make a mistake? Did they, I mean, what's going on? There's because there's a kind of a ridiculousness to it. Like you listed off all of these amazing Filipino performers, people that people recognize, people that have done work and you've seen in other things. And I asked the writer Ken, I was like, there are so many named Filipino artists who I'm sure would have loved to have been in this film. And maybe some weren't available, but he was like, yeah, but we also wanted to make sure that we give opportunities for new artists to make a name for themselves, to highlight and spotlight artists who might not be a household name. I don't think I'll ever be a household name, but like to give me that opportunity, someone who doesn't have a gigantic list of credits as far as like film and TV goes, who's done most of my career in like regional theater and in New York and stuff, to have an opportunity to be part of this project and share in this family and share in this storytelling. And, that's fantastic, and like, I remember Joe going like, where did you come from? And it's like, I've been around for a long time, but yeah, I mean, I haven't done like, I don't have a ton of like series regular roles or things like that. I've just been kind of grinding away as like just a working actor, which is a feat, for people who are pursuing this, being a working actor is a feat. And I've been very lucky that, I've been able to do that most of my career. It's had its ups and downs. I had my Broadway debut in New York in 2015. And then when the show closed, I was auditioning, and the first show I got was back in California. So I was like, I guess I'm leaving New York. I'm coming to California. And then after that, I couldn't get arrested. I was auditioning and just not getting anything. And
how frustrating did it get when you were going rejection after rejection after?
It's hard, because, and again, it's like when you think back to Encanto, when you think like, this is my gift and this is what defines me, and then all of a sudden I'm not seeing any fruits for my labor, it's really frustrating. And it feels like I am not, like, something happened. Like, I don't know what happened. I don't know how to define it. I still feel like I'm doing the work, but it's just not hitting. And it can do a number on your psyche.
Are you still feeling the same thing now, or are you over it?
I mean, I have learned that this business is crazy, and I have to embrace the crazy, which means, embracing the highs as well as the lows, and knowing that everything is temporary, right? So, it's all fleeting. It doesn't mean that you can't enjoy it. Enjoy it while you have it, and then, on the times that are leaner, like, just trust that you're gonna move through it. Like, that's part of this business, which is also why I keep holding on to my day job. Because it's good to have that little extra, it's just there's so many ups and downs, and there's no logic to it. You're not like, oh, okay, so it's like I start out and then I'm an assistant manager and then I'm a manager and then I'm a regional manager. Like, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, no.
There's ups and downs and craziness, and then lateral movements, and it's kind of all over the place.
So there has to be humility all the way through, or else.
I mean, I think so. Otherwise, if you go in thinking you deserve everything, like you're gonna get smacked down really quickly. Yeah, and it'll just hit you harder. But it's like if you go in, I think, feeling lucky, feeling grateful, just having any opportunity to audition for stuff, even if I don't get the job, like if I just get to work on this material for a morning, or I get to work on this for an afternoon, and it's fun, you know, and I have fun with it. Like, that's a great day, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like, oh, that's a good day. I got to work on a scene. Who knows what's going to happen with it, but it was fun, and that's what I like to do, you know. And just have that, and then, you know, and then the bookings and other things, they'll eventually come along, you know, if you just keep working at it. It's just how it works.
So nice when you said just keep working at it. It will come along. I guess that's the lesson there. And that's what everybody should start picking up, because we're very proud of you. You're finally here. We've experienced you saying no to us the first time because of
because it's a global pandemic.
I know.
That's all.
But we'll have you back.
Okay, sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, Melody Butiu.
Yeah.
Yes! Did I get it right, the last name?
Yes. Butiu.
See?
Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
Thank you.